Aisha, for more on this, let's bring in Texas Department of Public Safety's South Texas Region spokesperson, Lieutenant Chris Olivarez. Lieutenant, thank you for joining us. It's always great to talk with you. I've spent a lot of time with you down there in Texas, but today is a particularly somber day, a somber weekend. How is DPS handling this latest news?
Good afternoon, Griffin. Of course, great to be with you. And as you mentioned, yes, you've been to the border numerous times. You've been with our men and women of Texas DPS, National Guard, Border Patrol, and you've seen the great work they're doing day in and day out to be on those front lines. But what occurred, of course, on Friday with our National Guard soldier is very tragic. This brave soldier, that's just a true example of bravery and courage by going into that river, that dangerous river, and trying to rescue several immigrants that were distressed. And that's what our men and women do day in and day out, from Border Patrol, our DPS troopers, our National Guardsmen. They risk their lives every single day by being on those front lines, not only apprehending criminals and seizing drugs, but also performing these rescue operations. And it's a very dangerous river. Just this month alone, there's been over 19 drownings in the Eagle Pass area. Bill Malushin reported just this past week, there was 3 in a single day. So it's very dangerous. But again, our men and women risk their lives every single day to go into this river to rescue immigrants that are already violating federal law. But nonetheless, they still, regardless, put that aside and they go in there and rescue these people that are coming across because that's what they're there for. They're there to provide a service. And also not only that, but to protect the state of Texas.
Lieutenant, in your opinion, was this avoidable? Could this have been prevented in some way?
Griff, it's kind of hard to say because, of course, that's when we're on the front lines, regardless if it's a National Guardsman, a Border Patrol agent, or even a DPS trooper, they have a split-second decision to make that decision to go into that river and perform these rescue operations, whether it be a river, whether it be out in the mountains in West Texas. There is really no way to determine if this could have been avoidable. Now, we do know, of course, for a fact that if there was more effective border policies, that would reduce the number of illegal immigrants coming across that dangerous river. But again, we're going to continue seeing the flow of immigrants coming across. Bill just reported there earlier that there's still immigrants coming across that dangerous river, knowing that there's been drownings within this past week alone. But again, it's just very difficult to put into words about what took place. And again, just great work by our men and women. And right now, we are using every resource at our disposal, from U.S. Border Patrol, Texas Game Wardens, our state dive team, military department right now performing search and rescue operations to rescue this soldier. And of course, we want to extend our prayers on behalf of the Texas Department of Public Safety to that soldier, to the family, and all those first responders that are out there in the front lines every day, day in and day out, away from their families, risking their lives to protect Texas and the entire country.
And let's just look quickly, if we can, Lieutenant, at the numbers. The month of March numbers, 221,303 apprehensions compared to this time last year, 173,277. We didn't hit 200,000 until July last year, and last year was a record unprecedented number of apprehensions. When you hear Tom Homan in the report before us with Bill's report talking about the border being out of control, how do you see it? Is it out of control?
Well, Griff, it is, because border agents for now, they're just tied up. They're overwhelmed with the constant processing they're having to do because of the surge of illegal immigrants coming across. Just for this fiscal year alone, for the first 6 months, over 1.2 million encounters. That's not even including the over 300,000 known gotaways. But that is why, Governor Abbott stepped in from the very beginning, and Texas is taking unprecedented action right now with Operation Lone Star and deploying additional resources, additional state assets to the border to help our federal partners. Just what we've been able to do since the start of Operation Lone Star, making over 14,000 criminal arrests. Out of that, nearly 12,000 of those are felony arrests. Of course, over 3,800 criminal trespass arrests. Those are the illegal immigrants that are traversing and circumventing the checkpoints on private ranches. And also, most importantly, over 300 million lethal doses that have been seized in the state of Texas. So we are trying to gain operation control of this border. The state of Texas is. That's why we have a proactive plan in place and try to prevent what's to come in May with these caravans, the thousands of immigrants that are waiting in Mexico. We do not want to see. We want to prevent what took place in Del Rio last year with the Haitians. And that's why we are constantly evolving border operations with our federal partners, also with our international partners as well.
Do you need a little more, just in the 30 seconds we've got, is there more that your federal partners, not the Border Patrol, but the White House and the lawmakers in Washington, could be doing to help you?
Well, of course. I mean, they need to take more effective strategies, have a comprehensive immigration reform, Also, do not cancel Title 42. And if you are going to cancel Title 42, have an effective strategy in place so we don't see this mass flow of immigrants coming across, and also work with other local partners as well, and also congressional partners, and come together and have a plan in place. And that's why, again, because of that, state of Texas has to continue stepping in and try to develop strategies to help secure the border and help our federal partners.
Well, we shall be watching if they have that plan in place. My sources from traveling in Mexico, a caravan has already started. It's not a huge one, but it started in Tapachula. It made its way to Huitzla yesterday. That's a traditional path. And the last one I followed ended up in Eagle Pass. Lieutenant Chris Olivarez, thank you for taking time, sir.
Thank you, Griff. Stay safe out there.